This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, hence the name of the podcast. And today I have leadership coach and founder of Discover the Edge and also Leaders of Transformation podcast, Nicole Jansen. And I'm going to let her tell you more about those two things. But first, Nicole, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Thanks for having me, James. Or should I call you? I guess I should call you Foo. So thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me to be here today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking your time to have a valuable conversation that then we can share with the world. So to get started, give us a quick intro about yourself.
Yeah, so I work with entrepreneurs, business leaders, and help them to grow their business and be more successful, but more importantly, be a better leader, be a better business owner, do better, and make a greater impact through the work that they do. So it's very purpose-driven and mission-focused, and I've been doing it for a number of years. I actually started out as an entrepreneur in my teens, and I've been coaching and training entrepreneurs and leaders for over 30 years now. So it's been an amazing ride.
That's cool. Not many people start that early. I started in my it's been 3 years almost. So yeah, like 26, about to be 27. I think it was that's when I got it. So, I wish I would have done it sooner, to be honest. And it's a wild ride, but if, the sooner that you get into and the sooner that you start failing hard and then you start figuring things out, the better. That's my opinion on that.
Absolutely. Fail forward fast.
And fail fast, right? That's a key thing. You will fail, so might as well fail fast and then stand up and keep moving. So yeah, that's I agree with that. So based on that, what is it that is taking most of your time or your focus right now, and why? Why are you dedicating yourself into that right now?
Yeah, so leadership is a passion for me, and transformation specifically, and why it's something that I'm focusing on, especially right now, is because, especially through COVID, COVID really stirred up a lot of things for people. People had their security in things and realized that those things are temporary. The external thing, the job, the career, the notoriety, the finances, whatever, the freedom even, and so, when that got all stirred up, I realized just how much what I was doing was important. And so I've been talking to people a lot about identity, purpose, and what is your God-given assignment here on earth, and focus on that, because life is short. If there's anything we've certainly learned that life is short. There's no guarantees in life. And so, it's time to get to the thing that we're called to do. And so, as I do that, I realize that even the leaders at the highest levels, and sometimes as entrepreneurs starting out, I don't know about you, but when I started out, I was like, oh, everybody else has got to figure it out except me. I'm the one who's, doesn't get it. And what I realized is, and I actually, on my show, I've interviewed a lot of great leaders and business people on my show as well. One of them actually wrote a book, and in their book said that 70% of C-suite leaders do not know their identity and purpose. And I thought, wow. This was based on some studies that they had done. And I was thinking, you know what, it's not just me. There's a lot of people that are trying to just figure it out. And if you get that, that you're not alone with that, it gives you that freedom to be able to fail forward faster, to figure it out. And so, yeah, so anyway, but it's been an amazing ride, and working with entrepreneurs that are aspiring to success, and then those that are successful that are saying, well, what's next, right? I got all this success. I thought that would make me happy, but that's really not the end game. And so we're focusing on what the end game is.
Yeah, I can resonate with that because of what I've seen, and even because of myself. Me coming into entrepreneurship, it was for looking for a purpose, looking for doing something, and make a living doing something that it that makes me want to wake up in the morning to go to it. And even if I was renouncing to have an easier life in a way, because I mean, when you're working, you just worry about like just working for somebody, especially if you're in corporate. It's more like you have this thing, you show up, you clock out, you don't have to worry about anything else, and you have the lack of freedom of like when to take the days and everything, but then you have that security, or quote unquote. And for me, it was like, look, I rather having to work almost 24/7, uh it, but working towards something that it was gonna fulfill me. And that's why I started looking for options, and I found PR, and I was like, look, I want to be in Forbes, I want to be in the media in general, and I want to create a path of freedom and impact that then I can use to either teach or sell to others if they just want to go, done for you route and just show up, and that's it, right? So that's my story to come into this, and that's why I can resonate a lot to what you're saying. It's not just about money or success. I mean, what is success? How do you define success? For me, I define it as freedom and impact, and that's kind of why I told you that story.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate you sharing that because, here's the thing is we think that security lies in having a job. But reality, I look at it and I say that's not security at all because you have one client. Think about it. You got one client. Imagine having a business and only having one client. That's pretty risky. I mean, if that client decides that they don't want to work with you anymore, or they go out of business, or whatever the case is, or the economy changes, you're going to lose 100% of your income, or if it's a business revenue, in one shot. Whereas if you have 10 clients or even 5 clients, hey, if you're doing like you've got a business where maybe you're supporting businesses and, maybe you're working for them on contract or whatever, maybe you have like 5 clients that you're working with at a time, and that's all you can handle. But hey, you lose one of those clients, now you lose only 20% of your income, and you can replace that a whole lot faster. So it's a deception to think that the security lies in the job. When you work for yourself, you make your own security. I remember a gentleman once said, he said, there are no secure jobs, only secure people. Right? So we've got to be secure. And there's a lot that goes into that so that we're secure, that we're not getting our security from the outside. We're not getting it from our accolades or accomplishments, even the associations that we have, or the job that we have. It's not about that. The security comes from within. And then it doesn't matter what's happening around you, economy good, economy bad. It doesn't matter because you become unshakable, right? That's success. When you think about what is success, that is success. Because then when things happen, like for example, COVID hit, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. Obviously I'm concerned about my family and the loved ones and everybody around the world that, that were getting sick, of course that. But from a business standpoint, because I was secure in who I was like, all right, we just need to pivot. So now I'm not worried about self-preservation. It's a natural instinct as a human being to worry about our own survival. Now I'm not worried about my survival because I know I'm secure, I'm fine. Then that allows me to focus on other people, to say, how can I support the people around me that are stressed out, the people that are lonely, isolated, that did lose their job or are forced to leave their jobs because they're, of all the mandates and all that kind of stuff. Now I can support them because I know I'm okay and I can figure things out. And that's a really important lesson for entrepreneurs, because you know what? I thought, like, when I was your age, I was like, I got this. I got this. And it was like God said, oh, let me tell you, you got diddly. You think you got stuff, right? But you don't got it because you don't know what's around the corner. See, I was settled in, this is what I'm going to be doing this thing for the rest of my life, and it's going to go this way. We worked hard on it. I got it here, and it's going to keep going up. That's not how life works. And so it's like valleys and mountaintops and ups and downs and all that. You got to be able to ride that. Not that you want that, but life will give you those things, whether it's economy or something happens in your life or your family or whatever. You're on that ride, you know? And so you got to be able to navigate that as an entrepreneur, to be able to pivot when that's what's needed, is to pivot, you know?
Pivot.
So yeah, there you go. Pivot.
Yeah, when you said it there, you said that keyword, that's pivot. And then another thing that I came to mind of security yourself is personal branding. And that's why, like, I was like, oh, look, pivot. Like, that's why I made it to the cover of Pivot magazine, because it's strategy and doing either micro pivots or bigger pivots. It's something that I kind of based all my views in business, because when you are, doesn't matter, like, you have your superpowers, right? As a person, you come with certain things based on what you like, what you've learned in the past, and you start developing those superpowers. That's something that you're good and you usually like. So when you start personal branding around those things, then you have the opportunity to, doesn't matter what the economy is happening, doesn't matter, as long as you have high income skills that you can apply, you can always pivot. You can always do pivots. And that's why when you said that, like, I think about like this real quick, because this is the 2 points that I just made, which is just making pivots. I mean, it's the title of the magazine for a reason. And then personal branding, like, you know, getting in a magazine, being able to your digital real estate, right? Like social media, articles in Google, press releases, etc. So that's why I'm big on that. And I think we have similar views on that, because as long as you take care of yourself and you make yourself valuable, doesn't matter where the economy or anything, because you know, the world has to keep moving. It's just, how do we go about this now? And that's the pivot. So
yeah,
that's
well, and to your point, in order for you to create a personal brand, you need to know who you are. And there's a consistency. I talk about 3 things you need in business to be successful, from a strategic standpoint, if you will. You need to have visibility. If nobody knows you exist, you're not going to be successful. So there is visibility. That's key. You need credibility. So that visibility that you've got has got to hold some credibility. Okay. And then you need consistency. So you be consistent. One of the things that, and I've failed forward fast. Okay. I've made mistakes in business, but one thing that I guess I learned it early on and just stuck with it and saw it from the other side as people would flip. And I just got annoyed with people that were like one way this year and another way, like they're just changing all the time. And there's a consistency to me. Right. And that has served me well over the years, because people know who I am. I'm not very good with pretense and all that stuff. Right. So they know what they're going to get. And it's the same, even though I'm continuing to grow, it's the same as it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And I'm not saying you don't change and evolve. I'm saying is you're consistent in who you are. When you know who you are and you own it, now you're not buffeted by other people's opinions, popular, views and all of this. You're not buffeted by that like a politician, right? One day they say this and they say that. It's like, what? Because they're looking for votes. I'm not looking for votes, right? I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to be the best version of me. And that's my commitment. And in the process of that, the right people will show up, and the people that are not the right people will not show up. Right. So then you create a personal brand around that, and it's consistency, and it doesn't mean you're stuck. I'm not saying you're stuck in a box in terms of what you do, because your identity isn't in what you do. It is in who you are. So anyway, for what it's worth, that's the starting point. And one of the things that we talked about just before we hit record here was something that I heard from one of my mentors years back. And I thought, what is he talking about? And he said, reality is created by agreement. And so when you think about that and you go, well, reality is reality, it's the truth. Well, we all have our own reality about what's happening, right? We have our own reality about the world around us, about others, and about ourselves, right? And so what we agree to becomes our reality. What we agree to. So when I say I agree to be this type of person, like for example, integrity is really important to me. And I agree with, and I say, okay, I'm going to stand in agreement with that. then I hold to that. You see what I'm saying? And then it actually impacts the rest, like how I do things. It's the be, do, have, right? It starts with being. What am I in agreement with? What do I believe to be true about myself? What do I believe to be true about others? And what do I believe to be true about the world around me? Because if I believe the world is a scarce place, or if I believe that the most important thing is having the most followers, then that's going to be my reality. And that reality is going to be based on scarcity. It's going to be based on what's happening in the world around me versus on something that's much more solid than that, right? So if I realize that the world is, and I believe that the world is an abundant place and there's a lot of opportunity and that it's a friendly place, then I'm going to operate that'll become my reality, and I will operate that way. And you know what? That's what I'm actually going to experience. I'm going to attract people that are abundant minded people. I'm going to attract those opportunities that somebody else will walk right by. Some people, I don't know, maybe your listeners are thinking like, why does that person, if you see somebody, right? It's like, why is that person successful and I'm not? Why did they get that opportunity and I didn't? Well, you got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, okay, so what am I in agreement with? Right? What frequency? It goes back to, energy, everything's energy. What frequency am I operating on? And the decisions that I make are going to determine that frequency, vibration, and what I actually attract out in the world.
It's a similar thing of what I've been taught. And I got this from Mr. Johnson. He was in my podcast a couple episodes ago, and he told me, "You don't get what you want, you get what you believe." That's right. What he told me, and it's very similar. How is your phrase again? Reality
is created by agreement.
Is created. Okay, created.
So you know what most people actually are in agreement with are lies. They're lies. If this happens, that it's all the outside stuff, right? Or I can't do that. I don't know how to sell. I can't do this, or this person is this way. Or it's lies versus the truth, or the truth that we choose to believe, right? Is what I can learn. I can figure it out. I may not know how to do it, but I can figure it out. As an entrepreneur, you got to have that belief. I can figure this out. Because you're going to be figuring out a lot along the way.
Yeah, every day. For me, is every day I have a new thing that I need to figure out. Every day.
You get to figure out. It's not even that when you think of, sometimes when we think of need, and just to correct you and challenge you on that, is when we think of need, right? It's like a lack. It's coming from that place of lack. When I get to, now I'm making a choice. I choose to learn. I choose to figure it out versus, and I say that because so many of my clients, they'll say things like, I got to do this. I got to do that. I have to go, I've got all these meetings this week or whatever. I have to, right? I used to say that too. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me that I woke up one morning, actually, I was looking at my schedule and I was like, I got all these meetings. And it's like, Nicole, you booked it. Hello. If you didn't like it, why did you book your schedule that way? And then I realized, no, I want to do those appointments. I choose to do those appointments. Right. But it was a different energy because the language, our words create our world. So the language I was using was making it into an obligation versus an opportunity. So when I say I get to do this, I get to meet with Foo today, right? I get to meet with different clients and things I'm going to be doing today. I get to do that. I choose to do that. It's got a different energy to it than I have to do that today. It's like, I don't know about you. I don't like it when people tell me what to do.
I hate
it feels like it's coming from the outside in.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. And that's why I'm like making notes and stuff, because that's how I remember things, right? So obviously I'm gonna watch this again and everything, but I want it right now, right? Not like later when I watch it again. So I don't need or have, like, I'll get to do this. This is something that resonates with me a lot, and that's something that I'll be applying to my vocabulary as much as I can, because it's good for I hate having to do something, right? Like that being forced to do something, it sucks. Like that's why, like, oh, like I wake up every day about like at 5:30 a.m. but I never put an alarm. If I were to put an alarm like at 6 a.m., but then I sleep, like I get there, like I hate it, right? Like those things of living on your own terms and doing the things that you want to do that motivate you. So adding I get to do things instead of I have or I need, it's a great way to start taking control of your reality.
And taking control of your reality, taking control of your life. It's interesting because entrepreneurs will quit a job and they say, I want to do my own thing, right? I want to be my own boss. I want to have my own freedom. I want to do the things that I want to do and all that stuff, right? And then because we take what we did there and the mindset and the behaviors and the habits and the patterns that we have there, now we apply those to the entrepreneurial space. And so there, yes, we had to, because we would get fired if we didn't do it, right? We had to do that. We had to show up at work. We had to stay till a certain time. We had to do that meeting and we had to do that thing. So that language over here, even though I would challenge, and I do challenge on employees, you don't have to do anything. You can walk out if nobody's got a gun to your head to do it in most cases, right? So, but when you go to the entrepreneurial space, it's a very different mindset. It's a very different mindset. You get to choose your day. And along with that, it doesn't mean that you have to work long. And I know I love Gary Vee, and he talks about, working hard and grinding it out, and Ed Milet and these guys, they all talking about working hard. And that is true, that it takes work, it takes effort to be successful, but it's not how much time you put into it. It's the effectiveness in which you use your time. It's the productivity. So I'm busy, busy, busy. No, I'm not busy over here. People say, oh, you must be busy. I'm like, no, I'm productive. Different, right? I have to, I get to. Busy, productive. I get to choose over here, right? I'm not paid based on how many hours I put in. Here I'm based on performance. I'm based on results. And if I can get those results in 1 hour a day, 4 hours a week, 10 hours a week, whatever it is, now I get to choose what I want to do with the rest of my time. Do I want to continue to accelerate it? And if I work a long day, it's because I chose to work that long day, not because I was doing it because somebody told me I had to, or that's the belief that, oh, I've got to work hard and I've got to work on holidays and, all that kind of stuff, the weekends, to be successful because somebody else told me to. But now I'm being driven. You talk about purpose-driven life, right? It's like that. Now you're driven and you're actually fueled by your purpose, not by an expectation.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And that's something that I do think, and it did put certain things into perspective. So I appreciate you saying those thought-provoking lines, let's say, and got me thinking. That's why I love doing this, because I learn a lot doing this, and I wanted to talk to you because I connected with you on LinkedIn, and I was like, what a better way than just lead with value. Let's come to my podcast. Let's have a conversation that I'm learning, and hopefully I can give you some value to you too. And then let's just record it and have it and share it with the world, instead of just making it of like just to have a call only, right? It's we're going through this, we're creating this, and it takes more effort, let's say, but at the same time it's productivity, like you said.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about, now we record this, we are, while we're learning from each other, while we're just creating value, we're also then sharing it. We can be revisited by us, by anybody. So it's just about being productive. And I work so much more since I got out of the military and then out of the corporate world. So much more. But it's in here. This is my home office, I, even though I'm like working at all times that I have the energy to do it, or just or me choosing, because I get to do something, then it's, at least I'm choosing to do it, and that's the main thing. And for me, it's like what you say, like the productivity part. and that's tricky because there's so many different things, and it's hard to figure out where to put your time, and that's something that it's just a constant battle on how can I allocate my time better, how can I be more productive while I also enjoy life, like how can I get a balance in life and while being a better leader, being a better boyfriend, better son, better everything, right? Like I want to be as best as as my the best, the greatest version of myself that I can possibly be. And it becomes a little tricky to do things, but it's just about, let's just figure this out, right? Let's just figure this out. Let's focus on who I am. What do I bring to the table? What is that thing that I want? And then just it's create a strategy that everything that you do supports that long-term vision. So
Yeah.
that's me.
Well, and there's another piece to this, which I think may help you in that, because I know, like when I was in my 20s, I thought I was invincible. So I was working 120 hours a week, and I didn't even realize until later when I started calculating the hours, and I was like, oh wow, didn't think anything of it. I enjoyed it, loved every minute of it, and was great with it. I was invincible. And that was until, of course, my body said, hey, we're not going on this journey with you. I'm tired. And I'm like, what do you mean we're tired? What's going on? So that was a whole other situation there. Now, and that's part of the learning how to leverage your time, to leverage your effectiveness. So again, as an employee, you get paid for your time, and you trade time for money, and you're paid for your efforts. Now, as a manager and leader, you're paid also, or rated based on your team and so forth. But for the most part, you're like over here working. You're the one, right? You're the achiever, if you will. As an entrepreneur and as a business owner, somebody who's actually building a business, you're not just self-employed, right? You're not just owning your own job. You're building a business system. And with that business system, you're asking yourself, again, different questions, right? So Robert Kiyosaki talks about that. Maybe some people are familiar with his concept. He talks about the cash flow quadrant. You can look at the ESBI, right? That cash flow: employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. Okay. So even you can look at it from that standpoint and say, okay, so the left side of the quadrant, they trade time for money. The right side of the quadrant actually makes money work for them. Okay. So when you are looking at how can I be the best version, obviously it's the best version of you, but it's also how can I make the impact that I want to make? And in order to make the impact, when you talk about purpose, when you have a purpose, a big purpose for your life, you're not going to be able to do it all on your own. So you look for opportunities to leverage to be able to so you stay operating in your unique ability, in your genius zone.
So thank you for that. That was very powerful, and I definitely agree with your point with Robert Kiyosaki. I think every entrepreneur, or most of them, know about him. Rich Dad Poor Dad is legendary. Everybody talks about it, and I follow him even now on social media. And great person to follow and to understand the differences between the employees and self-employed, and then business owner and investors. So that's something that it seems to be like a core, like it's like business 101, right? I love how that's such as a standard, and that we all can understand and then build from it. And I completely agree with his points, and that's one of the reasons that I am an entrepreneur. I started learning about that, and I was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. I need to become a business owner. I need to figure out how to leverage my expertise into building a team that will all be unified to one mission, and will all looking to impact the world in a positive way. And then being able to not just trade like money, like time for money, more like what results can I get for people that are valuable, and then I can have more impact by having a team that will support that. Then I can grow, and then I can keep impacting, because if your mission is you want to change the world in whichever way you can, you can't just do it alone. Like, and there's only so much that we can do alone. So you need to be able to have a team, to have a community, to build something that is bigger than yourself, to then work together towards the mission of actually being able to change the world. And even if it's just, you know, one little part of it, if you can come in and leave a legacy of positive impact throughout your life, I think that's just the best that you can do. And that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm helping my clients and just people in my network to do. And that's why I chose PR, because PR is a way for me to be able to amplify the impact of positive people in this world, especially business leaders. That's what I chose to pursue, because I'm passionate about business, and that's the reason that I went that route. But yeah, like this, I think this has been a very valuable conversation, especially even for me to think about this things about like purpose and you're hearing something similar, like reality is created by agreement, and me being saying that you don't get what you want, you get what you believe. You see, it's everything goes back to believing. And agreement is nothing other than just, you know, believing something, because if not, you wouldn't agree with it if you don't believe in it. So it's cool to see that being the almost like the center of what your message is, because it's very like, it's very much what I believe in, and what I'm trying to profess to people through this podcast and social media and etc. So
That is great. That is great. And I love that you chose PR, because right now people are looking to get visibility, and they are looking to get a message out there. Everybody has not everybody, but a lot of people have a message that they want to share, and they're learning to express themselves, and they're learning to express what's important to them, and they want to make a difference. You know, I see that so often. Like, we look at the media, and it seems like there's all this negative news and corruption and greed and all of that, and oppression. But yet at the same time, there is so much good in the world. There's so many people that are doing great things, and they want to get that message out there so that so that message can be louder than the negative, right? So you can offset that. And so having somebody like yourself who figures out all of the technical, how do you do that, right? Because a lot of people who have that message, they don't want to deal with, you know, the technical side of it. They don't want to deal with even like the posting and all the knowing which platform needs what and what format, and they don't care. They're just like, well, give me an opportunity to show up and shine and be able to share my message. And that's, you know, what you can allow people to do. So thanks for doing that. That's great.
yeah, I really, it's not easy, and that's why there's opportunity, right? Because
That's
it's
right.
not easy.
For
So
easy, everybody be doing it.
exactly, that's what I tell myself every day. It's like, damn, like, but the media, like, they don't listen to me or whatever, like, because they don't have incentives to publish certain stuff. So it's tricky. It's tricky dealing with the media, being the one in the middle, and try to give the media what they want and then decline what they want. And I'm in the middle trying to please them both, right?
You're in the middle figuring it out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's why I have a job, right? That's why I make a living doing this. But yeah, it's something that I need to keep thinking about my purpose, keep thinking about how to be efficient with my time, how to be productive, how to not have that scarcity mentality, how to not have limiting beliefs, and like tell myself that I can't, or all those different things. And that's why I'm adding the taking all the need and taking all the have for the get. So that's another thing that I'm, keep adding between all these different people that I follow and that I connect with, and so slowly building this my bettering my persona, so I can then have more impact and be of more value for people, and then I can be more successful. That's all.
Yeah, you take these habits that you want to develop, and or belief systems, or language patterns, and you take them, and you don't try to figure it all, like, well, I shouldn't say figure it out. You don't try to fix it all at once, right? Because then it's like you're an overwhelm. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to do this, and I'm supposed to do that, and I'm supposed to do that. that's what happens even in marketing, right? People try to figure out all these different platforms all in one shot, and it's overwhelming. It's kind of like starting multiple streams of income. Everybody's like, oh, we need to have multiple streams of income. Yeah, but you think about it, the people that start those multiple streams of income don't start them all off at the same time. They start one, they get one rolling. Okay, next one, get that one rolling. Next one, get that one rolling. Right. So the same thing with your habits that you want to develop is you take them, you list them out, prioritize them, the ones that are going to have the greatest impact on you, at top of the list. You start doing those, you start knocking them off, and you do them. And it's not 21 days to develop a new habit. It's like 66 days or something. It's 63 days or something. So it's 3 times longer than we think to really start building new neural pathways in our brain. And so you do that for the next 2-3 months, and you just maybe you start to do it for 30 days, and then you're like, okay, I've got that one rolling. I feel like that one's starting to take root. Okay, great. Now you add the next one, and then you add the next one, and then you add the next one, and then over time you see the huge impact. It's by the daily things that we do that make all the difference. But if you have this massive, like, oh, I'm supposed to do that, it can be actually overwhelming, and then you're like, oh, forget it, I don't want to do any of it.
Yeah.
So take something, get really good at it. And one of the things I learned from Tony Robbins, and I'll leave you with that, is that he talks about the triad. And so I like simple, right? I like things that I can easily remember, apply, explain to others. And so when you think about his triad, it's a triangle, and there's focus, words, state. So you change your focus, change your words, and change your state. Now, what I did with all of these wonderful personal development techniques and things that people tell you need to do, I tested it with that model and said, does it fit in the model? And if you think about it, every single thing does fit in the model. Focus, gratitude. What do you focus on? Priorities. Visioning. It's part of focus. Words. It's what we've been talking about, right? Change your words, change your world. So it's the words that we say to ourselves. It's the words that we say to others. It's the words that we say internally and also verbally. What do we read? What do we study? And then the state, which is your association and, your physical, right? Getting out there and getting some exercise, eating well, healthy, all that kind of stuff. So focus, words, state, all of those wonderful techniques all fit into that model. So that's something you can look at and you go, oh, right, what's my focus? What's my words? What's my state? And behind that, I got all sorts of ways that I can adjust any one of those, but all I need to do is focus on those 3 things.
I like it. I don't know. I mean, I know Tony Robbins, and I listen to some of the content that is out there in social media, but I don't like follow him per se. And it's cool to, I know obviously a lot of people talk about him, so I know he's great. And
I did a 1-year strategic intervention coaching certification program with his organization. That's how I learned what he was doing. I already had some of it already, but just to hear them actually explain how he does what he does.
Yeah, no, that's really, really cool. It's something that now it's easy to visualize. And I made my little triangle here in my notes. So
Cool.
yeah, no, thank you for leaving us with that. I think that's pretty cool, to easy to kind of see and just following and kind of imagine, even in your head. It's 3 things. Just imagine a triangle. It does this follow, like what's happening here. So this is cool. This is very cool. And it's something that there's a lot of value here about, everything is focused about just finding yourself first, making yourself recession proof, everything proof, right? Just add value to yourself, making sure that you have your intrinsic value with regardless what job you have or what you're doing, so that way you can always adjust. And just everything, it's rooted on you and what you believe, and you don't get what you want, you get what you believe, right? The reality is
Right.
you create is just based on the agreements that you make. So that's
Cool.
pretty strong things to leave the audience with. So I just want to thank you for taking the time and to go in depth into all this different things about leadership and about yourself and other valuable things.
Good. I'm glad. That's the whole. I came to serve you and to serve your audience. So hopefully we've done that here today. So thank you.
So just one last thing is, I know there's gonna be people that's like, look, I really like the way that she talked. I want to learn more about her. So how can people find you?
Yeah, probably the best way is to go to the website, leadersoftransformation.com. And at that website, I've got my podcast, which I've interviewed over 430 people now, and it's been amazing. And you can also find out about my coaching. We just actually created a Be the Change collection. So t-shirts and all kinds of fun stuff, mugs and everything, with a nice friendly reminder to be the change. And so some good tools there and resources that they can check out. And you can find me all on social as well.
Yeah, perfect. I'll be having the links in here. I just kind of want to, just in case somebody's just listening to it or they just want to hear from you. So thank you. Yeah, I'll make sure that I have all those links in there so people can find you. And hopefully this gives some perspective and some information that is valuable for at least one of the listeners. So thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you, Foo.
This is Foo and Nicole signing off.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Foo with your host, Foo. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.